Welcome to Chad Hates Carbs. Today we're going to do cinnamon sticks, which is a variation that's been posted on Facebook from the gal that did the Gloria Koch that did the soul bread. So this is a modification that she made, and as always I don't have everything exactly the same, but we're gonna shoot for that today. So let's get started. We're going to start with the wet ingredients. So we're going to do 2 eggs, and then we're going to be mixing them in with not the eggshells. We're going to be mixing them in with the sour cream. And the recommendation in this recipe was that you keep the ingredients separate. So we're going to do 2 eggs and then a quarter cup of sour cream. And we're going to mix those all together. Okay, now that we've got those mixed together, we're going to go ahead and put together the dry ingredients. We've got a half a cup of lupin flour. We've got 2 tablespoons of whey isolate. We've got 2 tablespoons of oat fiber. This is not oat flour, it's oat fiber, very specific. Oops. We've now got a half a teaspoon of salt. We've got 1 teaspoon of baking powder. We've got a half a cup of powdered, in this case I'm using sucralose, which is, in the recommendation it's erythritol. I don't have any erythritol right now, still waiting on a shipment. We've got a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon. And then she calls for a few drops of sucralose, but because we just used sucralose in there, I'm going to use a couple of drops of stevia instead. You don't want to put too much in there. The idea there is multiple kinds of sweeteners will kind of balance each other out. And so we're going to go ahead and mix that up real quick. Alright, now that we've got the dry ingredients all mixed together, the next step is to melt mozzarella cheese. This is 8 ounces of mozzarella cheese. Yes, it's mozzarella. We're going to melt this in the microwave. So you probably want to put it in for a couple of minutes and then keep checking it and whatnot. Speaking of topping, the first thing we need to do is we need to melt 2 tablespoons of butter, and it's easiest to do it in the microwave, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, now that we've got the butter melted for the topping, we've got a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon, same amount we put in before. Quarter teaspoon of cinnamon. We've got a quarter cup of, again, calls for powdered erythritol. I'm using sucralose here. And that's going to be nice and clumpy. And then I'm going to go ahead and, again, use a couple of drops of stevia in place of the couple of drops of sucralose. So this is kind of backwards, but yeah, it is what it is. So now I'm going to go ahead and stir this up. And obviously the butter is going to kind of dissolve everything into it. Okay, the mozzarella is melted. You can see we've got kind of, it's kind of gooey and whatnot, which is exactly what we want. What we're going to do now is we're going to mix all the ingredients together. We don't really we don't really have a lot of time to make this work, so we're going to just have to be kind of quick with it, because otherwise it's going to clump up pretty bad. So we're going to put the dry in with the mozzarella. We're going to put the wet on top. I have no idea if this is the right way to do it, but this is what we're going to try. Because this way, I'm kind of hoping that it'll sop in a little bit, and then we quickly are going to have to kind of work it together. I'm just going to use this spatula to kind of work all the stuff together, kind of cut it into the cheese, and we'll see what happens. One technique that you're probably going to need to use is pushing down like this into the bowl, because otherwise you're going to have pockets of the flour and whatnot, and you need to kind of spread it out and break those pockets up. Definitely a nice forearm workout, no question. But just be aware that you're going to need to watch for that. If you have big pockets of dry flour, that's probably not going to be a happy time. So be sure you work it in good. Okay, now that we've got it mixed in, now we're going to just take it and spread it out on this pizza pan. I've got a silpat on here. You can use parchment paper or whatever. You definitely want to not just put it on a plain cookie sheet, because you'll hate your life. I'm trying to get it off at the end. So this is Makes it a lot easier to deal with. The recommendation is to put, yeah, so you can still see there's little bits of flour. I didn't get all the little bits ground out, so. Alright, so now we just take the topping and we just drizzle it over the top. This is the cinnamon and butter stuff. We're going to just kind of drizzle it, and then we're going to kind of spread it. 22 minutes in, and let's see what we get. That is hot. Fogging up my glasses. So there we go. We got browning around the edges, and it's looking fairly solid. We're going to let it cool down for a little bit, and then we'll come back and taste it. Alright, so we've got it all off of the rack. It's nice and cool. So I'm just going to cut off one end. And this is the sad end with not as much cinnamon on it. So. That's pretty good. They're soft, so they're not crunchy at all. They're not very cheesy. I think it probably would be better with your erythritol because there is some of that, a little bit of that aftertaste, but it's not bad. I'd probably add a little bit more, like maybe a little bit of nutmeg to it. There's enough cinnamon, definitely. Maybe even add a little bit more butter. But no, definitely good. It's always surprising when you eat something like this. You're thinking in your head, this is mozzarella cheese, but it really doesn't taste like mozzarella. Very surprising. So definitely worth a shot. Not very hard to make, and if you've got lupin flour, you have another thing you can make with it. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.